everybody. Welcome to another episode of Him, How I Met. And in this episode, we're talking about Iron Mike Tyson, or as the announcer kept saying in the fight, Iron Mike Tyson. But so I'm recording this after the fight. He was always on my list of the 60, 70 people that I have on the list to tell how I met. And as always, these stories are mine. These are my stories. If anybody decides that, they want to dispute it, go ahead. This is my recollection. This is how I remember it. And it's my story about how I met. So it had to be mid to late 90s in Virginia. Well, I was stationed in Virginia. We were out at a club in DC. So me and one of my girlfriends went out. So the clubs in DC, I don't know how they are now because I don't live out that way anymore. But the clubs in DC in the 90s, popping. Do you hear me? They had one club that had five clubs. It was five clubs in one. You can go from room to room and get different types of music on each in each room. And I think it might have been three floors and like two on one or something. I just remember the very top floor was always the reggae floor. And then they would have a hip hop room, R&B room, and like it was the most amazing thing. And they would have great DJs in each room, and it just depended on your mood as to what room you were in. So the largest room was like the main room that everybody was in because they would play a little bit of everything. But if you wanted something specific and wanted like not to be around as many people, you'll go upstairs, catch one of the other rooms, and just have a ball all night long. All night long. Like this club. I have so many stories from this club. So this is I don't remember the name of the club because again, this was the 90s, and again, that's why I said these are my stories and not anybody else's because I'm recalling it how I recall it. So the 90s, me and one of my girlfriends, we went out to the club in DC because again, we were in Virginia. We were stationed in Virginia. We got dressed. I don't remember exactly what I had on this time. I do remember the skirt I had on. I remember because this was my favorite skirt. See, I'm gonna hear a lot of stories about this skirt. Maybe I think I don't know. So I used to wear this skirt back in the 90s, and people still wear stuff like this today. It was a long black skirt, but it had slits up both sides of the thigh. But it was stopped like mid thigh. It wasn't like all the way up to the hip. I've seen some in the recent past where split would go all the way up to the hip and just up to the waistband. It didn't go up that high. It was like mid thigh, but long splits on both sides. I don't remember the top I had on. I probably had on some boots. I can't recall. But this night we were out there. We walking around doing our thing, trying to be cute and stuff. And I was walking. Somebody was like, "Mike Tyson's in the club." I was like, "Mike Tyson's in the club," and I heard it like you hear murmuring, murmurs and people walking by. Because again, the 90s, it wasn't like you can get on social media and be like, "So and so's at the club. Go see such and such. This is where. This is nothing." You had nothing. So I was like, "Huh." So I was walking past, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, that's Mike Tyson." So I walked past. And I think I went up to him and spoke. Because again, we didn't have cameras anything like that. So it wasn't like I could take a picture. So all we would have is our word and handshake. It sounds like old Western time. Your word and your handshake is good enough for me. But that's all we had because we didn't have cameras available on everything that we had. Like we just had ourselves and our friends to corroborate our stories. So I think I went up to him, introduced myself, and I just wanted to speak because I just wanted to meet Mike Tyson. And I don't remember the conversation, but I remember at the end of the conversation, he was like, so before we get to the end of the conversation, let me back up. During the conversation. So this was after he had did his jail time. So during the conversation, he literally asked, he was like, "Can I put my hand around your waist?" And while I talk, I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." And so and it probably got to a point where he had to ask, say what he's doing, because permission is sexy and you have to ask because of what happened to him previously, and he didn't want to catch any more charges. So he asked before he touched me. He asked if he could talk to me. He he was very nice. He asked, and I would say he's shorter than what you all think, but y'all know he's like 5'11". I'm only 5'4", but I think at the time I probably had on some high. I used to wear high heels back in the day, y'all. No, I wear tennis shoes. I wear my chucks all the time now. Back in the day, I had on some high heels, so we were pretty close in height when I was talking to him. So like he put his hand around my after he asked, he put his hand around my waist, pulled me in a little bit, and was talking to me. And I don't know if he asked for my phone number or to go where he was going after he left the club. And I was like, yeah, no, I love Mike, but I was like, mm. So then the guy he was with, so we finished talking, so I moved away. But before we walked away, the guy he was with grabbed my girlfriend, and then he started talking. Mike started talking to my girlfriend, and I was like, so I said no, so you could talk to my girlfriend. But and in really, that's how it was in my mind. Because in my mind, celebrities are a certain way, and But apparently, Mike like what he like, and is who he is. Because my girlfriend, trying to think, she was Korean and white, or yeah. So in my mind, black men have a fetish for Asian women. So I was like, oh, okay, so he's. But nope. I was like, what did he want? And so she came to me, she, girl, he's trying to convince me to convince you, so we could go with them. I was like, oh. I was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. She was like, yeah, I'm just like, I'm good. She was like, but he was trying to figure out why you didn't want to talk to him. I was like, I did want to talk to him. I talked to him at the club. Talked to him, had a conversation, got a hug. I was done. That's all I needed to do. I just needed to meet Mike Tyson. I need nothing else at all. Not at, I would say not at that time. My mind wasn't right. I wasn't prepared for anything. And then I think he got married like a couple years after that anyway. So it wasn't me. So yeah, yeah. And I will say he is, when I met him back in the mid late 90s, um, he seemed to be more of the person that we see today, not the person that he was depicted as previously. Because and again, like he could have learned from the incident that that happened with him to ask before he did anything or said certain things to a woman. He was very intentional about his words and how he said things, and asking. I'll say it like that because everybody doesn't. Like a lot of people just assume that they can just grab you, snatch you up, talk to you because you out at the club. No, he was very, very mindful, very nice about it, and was okay with the no, I'm not going. Like he was cool. So that's all I got to say about that. But it was good to say and have met Aaron. Man, I can't get that out of my head. That commentator just kept saying it. Aaron Mike Tyson. I was like, I'm gonna need you to know how to say iron. Like iron. But I mean I know I have an accent too, but I'm just saying. So yeah, so that's how I met Mike Tyson in a DC club 20 something, almost 30 years ago. Yeah. Man, when I tell you I had some good times at that club. I had me some good times at that club. I'll have some more stories from that club, I think. I don't know. I don't remember. Actually, I don't remember meeting any other celebrities at that club. So I might not have any more stories from that club. But it was the place to be back in the mid to late 90s. So if anybody out there remembers that club, let me know. And I don't, I can't even remember what street it was on. I just remember it was around we used to park at the same parking garage. Um, I remember the African guy who worked there. He was always so nice. And every time we parked, he was like, "Oh my goodness, hey, You look just like my sister. He would always say I look like I was from where he was from. I think he was Ethiopian. And he was always so nice. And then one night a bum was out there and he was holding his pants up with his hands and he started talking to me. This was me and a different girlfriend. And again, I know some heels about that high. He started talking and them pants started falling because he was talking with his hand. I took off. My girlfriend was like, "How you leave me?" I'm like, "How you ain't move faster?" Like I don't. Again, I was in the military back then, so and actually the girlfriend that I was with that night, she can run faster than me because she beat me on PT tests when we're doing PT in the mornings and all that. She can run faster than me, but that night in heels, you better catch me if you can, 'cause I was out. So yeah, that's some good times. So again, if anybody remembers that club, I don't remember. I just know it was downtown DC, and that is not telling you much. And it was a African American club, I assume, had 5 clubs in one, and it was a good time. As they say, it was a great time to be alive in DC in the 90s. Anywhere in the 90s was a great time to be alive. I'm not even gonna hold you on that one. So keep watching. I will have more stories. I will have more hymns, how I met, and yeah, I just have to figure out who I'm going to do next. Like I said, I have like 60 or 70, and I'm getting them out as fast as I can. I do them when I have time, and especially when something happens and comes to mind. So Mike Tyson just had his boxing match. I was like, I probably should do that one. So I had to get it done. So as always, this video is sponsored by butterflyflow.life. Butterfly Flow is where you be, you shop, and you flow. We have shirts, books, calendars, planners, and more. If you don't see it on there, we can probably find somebody to make it for you. So, thank y'all for watching once again. And, like, click the subscribe button, tell a friend, tell everybody you know, and let's get this page popping. Because I think, once I get more followers, I'm gonna have a lot more to say. And if there's a celebrity that I hadn't met and you want me to try to meet them, or if you know of one you need for me to meet, I'll get on it. I'll try to meet them and we can get to popping so I can tell y'all some more stories. So stay tuned. I will have more stories coming. Have a great day. Bye.